All right, let's try to finish up this 1-4. We got pretty much most of it done. The last thing we talked about was line segment. Let's just review that briefly. So here is a line segment. What's the difference between a line segment and a line?
A line keeps going.
That's right. Yep, a line keeps on going in both directions, correct? A line segment does what?
Only stops in one direction.
Well,
It'll go in one direction.
it doesn't keep on going.
No, it stops.
Starts and stops, right. Starts and stops. Yep, that's basically what we need to know about it. Those points where it starts and stops, we give it a special name. What do we call that? Like if I call this AB,
Oh, I know.
we have a special name for this point where it starts. Say it. Endpoint. Very good. Okay, so that would be an endpoint. I'll just shorten it, put like that. And that's also an endpoint. You know, some people will say, well, that looks like a beginning point. Well, not necessarily. Okay, if you would not crumble up your homework papers, I'd really appreciate it. All right, just hang on to them. You don't need to crumble them up while I'm teaching. All right, that's distracting to people around you. It's distracting to me. All right, so just hang on to it. If you're going to throw it away, I would not suggest that you throw away your homeworks that you get back, okay? Because you can always use them to study from. Maybe I forgot to put it in the grade book, and you'll say, Mr. Hamrick, I know I turned it in. I'm like, oh, I don't have it in my grade book. And then you can pull it out and say, here it is. It's got a 5 on it, or whatever it is. And then, okay, yep, I must have forgotten. Now, I don't try to forget, obviously, but I'm human like everybody else. So I would suggest that you not, when you get your homework back, crumple it up and throw it in the trash, all right? It's probably not a good idea. I mean, it's up to you, I guess, in the end, but I would suggest that you don't do that. And you're doing it as soon as I suggest. Okay, just don't crumble it up. I'm teaching. I'm in the middle of teaching. Okay, crumbling up stuff is just so distracting. See, I've already taken like 2 minutes just talking about that, just because somebody crumbled up a piece of paper. All right, let's keep going. This is an endpoint. This is an endpoint. Keeps on going forever. So, by the way, what do we call this? A line what? Segment. Just review. We'll do a little bit more here in a second. All right, so that's a line segment. We can measure a line segment, right? If you had a ruler or something like that, you could actually measure a segment. Now, sometimes segments are huge. Sometimes segments could be miles long, right? Sometimes they could be super, super tiny. But you could technically measure a segment because it has a beginning and has an end. Can you measure a line? Can you measure a line? No, why not? It keeps on going forever, and you can't measure that if it keeps on going forever. What about a ray? We talked about ray, didn't we, yesterday? What about a ray? Can you measure a ray? No, because it does what? Keeps on going in one direction, but it still keeps on going forever. So you can't even measure a ray, right? But you can measure a line segment, all right? So that's how we do that. Now, we talked yesterday about how to label a line segment. So you take the two endpoints, you put them next to each other, all right, and then you just put a little line with no arrows. Let's make it a little flatter looking. There we go. All right, so that's how you would label a line segment. All right, that's different than a line. What does a line have on it that a line segment doesn't when you label it? It's got the arrows, right? Okay, an array just has how many arrows? Just one arrow. All right, but this is a line segment. There's a big difference between a line AB, a ray AB, and a line segment AB. Huge differences between all three of those. So you got to know which one is which. All right. Now, is that the only way that you could name that line segment right there? What else could you name it? BA, line segment BA. All right. And that's fine. What about a ray? Again, we're just reviewing just a little bit. What if you had a ray like this? We'll just use the same letters. Let's just go A and B again. Okay. So what would you name this ray right here? You wouldn't say line segment. It's a what? It's a ray. So it's ray. Say it, Evan. AB. Right. So it's ray AB. How do we show a ray like this?
A ray is like the one endpoint in the arrow.
Yeah. Ray has an endpoint at one end and it keeps on going forever in the other direction. Could I, now on a line segment, I could have said ray or line segment AB, or I could have said line segment BA. That would be exactly the same thing. All right, there's no difference between the two. All right, it talks about it. It describes this line segment right there. It's exactly the same line segment. Could I also say, or ray BA? I could. What is significant about that point A right there? It's the what of the ray, fam? It's the endpoint. That's right. The endpoint on a ray always has to go what? It's got to go first, okay? So I cannot say ray BA because, look, ray BA would start here and would keep on going forever through A. Does this particular picture right here keep on going forever through A? No, it doesn't. It stops at A, doesn't it? So I cannot call this ray BA. Everybody understand that? So with a line, you could switch them up. You could say line AB or line BA. It doesn't make any difference. Okay, with a line segment, you could say line segment AB or line segment BA. It doesn't make any difference. But on a ray, it absolutely makes a difference. The endpoint has to go first. Excuse me. The endpoint has to go first, and then whatever point it goes through. Everybody with me? Let's stick another letter in here. Let's put a C right there. Is line segment AC the same as line segment AB? Why not? That's right. AC is short. That's good. AC is shorter than AB. All right. It's not the same length, is it? All right. So it's not the same segment. What if I did this? What if I put a C right here? Is ray AC, everybody look and concentrate, is ray AC the same as ray AB? Tell me why, Fed. Just in your own words. Because it starts where? They both start at A, and they just keep on going all the way in that direction. They go through C, they go through B. It's the same exact ray, right? AC, ray AC and ray AB are the exact same ray. Everybody got it? But line segment AC and line segment AB are two completely different line segments. They share a little bit, right, of this part right here, but they're two different line segments. If you measure this, it will be shorter or a lower number than what AB would be. Okay, everybody good with that? All right. We didn't talk about angles yesterday, did we? Okay, so that's what we're going to talk about right now. So let's do this. Let's draw a ray. So that's a ray right there. Let's draw another ray, but I'm going to connect it at the end point of that other ray, just like that. Okay? It's not too hard to draw. If I remember what button to push here, there we go. All right. So those are two rays. But what is like, they're not just two random rays, are they? They're two rays that do what, though? What do they do? Okay, they do make an angle. That's right. We'll talk about that in a second. But just the rays themselves, where do they meet? That'd probably be a better question. I wouldn't say in the middle. At the end, what? Point. Very good. At the end point. Do you see that? They meet. Oops. They meet at the end points of each of the rays. They meet right there. In geometry, we say it has a common endpoint. Okay? They both have the same endpoint. Okay? This ray starts right there, and this ray down here starts at the same exact spot. So we have a common endpoint. That's what they use, like in the definition of this thing. All right? So it has a common endpoint. We have a special name for that common endpoint, and we call it a vertex. You ever heard that word before? I don't know if you have or not, but now you have. And we'll talk about that a lot throughout the whole year. Okay, we'll throw out the word vertex, and you need to know exactly what I'm talking about when I talk about vertex. It's where the two rays meet at that common endpoint. That's called the vertex. And that vertex is a pretty important point a lot of times. Okay? Let's label it. Let's put an A here, a B here, and a C here. So what are my two rays? If I was to separate these and name the two rays that are sitting here, what would I name them? The two rays? So I need two rays. So how do I name one ray? Is it AB, though? We just finished talking about that. It's BA. Why BA and not AB?
BA.
Well, BA keeps going, but why is the B first and not the A? It's the endpoint. That's right. The endpoint's always got to go first. So I would have ray BA, right? What's the other ray then? BC. So the other ray is ray BC. Everybody see that? So if I separate them, basically it's two rays, but what do? They just meet each other at that endpoint, which we call the what? That common endpoint is the vertex. Very good. Okay. When you have that situation, when you have two rays and they have a common vertex, we've already said it. A couple people have already said it. So what do we call this whole entire thing, that combination of those two rays? What do we call that? We've already heard it. I've already heard it from you. What is it when you have boom, boom like this? What is that? It's an angle. Exactly right. You've heard that word before, right? You've talked about angles all the time. I mean, in football, right? You talk about take an angle, right? Through the A gap, the C gap, the B gap, whatever it is, okay? Talk about D-backs, right? You gotta take a certain angle, right? If you want to intercept the ball or whatever. You talk about angles all the time. So that's what this is. This is an angle. All right? This whole thing right here is an angle. A lot of times we'll put a little arc there to kind of show that angle. Now let's name this angle. We're going to do a couple things with this, but let's name the angle, all right? You could name it with one letter, or you can name it with three letters. Or you could actually name it with something else, and I'll show you that after I do the letters thing first. If you wanted, you could call this thing just angle. Oh, by the way, I forgot. That's the symbol for angle. You see that? It's almost like an L, but the top of it is kind of slanted a little bit. All right, so that's an angle. That's the symbol that we use for angle. So I'm going to put that in front. We could call this just angle B. So this angle is angle B. Now, why did I pick angle B? Why B? Could I have called this angle A? Could I have called it angle C? Why did I pick B? Somebody tell me. What stands out about point B? Evan. It's at the, give me a good word, sitting right there in front of you. It's at the vertex. That's exactly right. Okay, it is the endpoints of both rays, but of the angle itself, it's at the vertex. Everybody see that? So that's what I call it. When I call an angle just by using one letter, I use the angle where it hits at the vertex. Everybody got that? So I can't call this angle A. Why not? Because angle A is not the what? It's not the vertex. I can't call it C, angle C, because angle C is what? It's not the vertex. Very good. Okay, but I can call it angle B. Here's another way I could call it. Okay, I'll put an or right there. I could call it, there's the angle symbol. I could call it angle ABC. Or I could call it angle CBA. But that's it. Those are my only possibilities. I can't call it ACB. I can't call it CAB. This is the only possibilities that I can call this. Take a look. When I use the three letters, what did I do here? Where is the B? It's in the middle. Exactly. The B is in the middle. So if I'm going to use three letters to name that angle, the vertex always has to be in the middle. You with me on this? Everybody awake? Okay. Got a couple people knocked out. All right. So try to stay awake. So this angle B right here could just be called angle B. Now, there are some situations, and we'll get to it in just a minute, that you cannot just call it by the one letter. In this situation, we could just use the one letter. We could just call it angle B. Boom, we're done. All right? But there are situations where you cannot call it just by one letter, and we'll do that in a minute, but let me talk about one more thing. So this is how we could name it. I could name it angle ABC, or I could name it angle CBA. Remember, the B is always where? In the middle. Now, it's not always B. It could be another letter, but the vertex is always in the middle. Where they meet, okay, that common endpoint, that's always going to be in the middle. We clear on this? All right, it's important because on the quiz, I'm going to ask you to name some stuff, and you got to be able to name it correctly. So if I ask you to name this angle, you could just say it's angle B, or you could say it's angle ABC or angle CBA. Those are your only options. Actually, here's another option. Sometimes they do this. I kind of like it when they do this. Sometimes they'll put a number in between the two rays to indicate the angle. So they might put like a 1 right there. So we could also call this, I'll put another or, we could call this angle 1. And it's nice when they do that because we don't have to get all confused with all the letters all over the place. They don't always do that though. They don't always put a number there, but sometimes they do. All right. So I could just call this angle 1, and that would make it nice and easy. All right. So there's a lot to know about angles. I mean, that's just scratching the surface, as they say, all right, on angles. We're going to be doing tons of stuff all year long with angles, all right? But this is the first really you've seen of it. let me give you a situation where I can't just use the one letter. I can't just call it angle B. All right, so let's draw a situation. And you'll see something like this on the quiz. So I hope you're awake. I hope you're paying attention. Let's make it like that. All right. So now that looks a little different. How many angles did I just draw right there? How many angles are there?
2.
Looks like 2. Chris, why? You said 3. Why? Let's put some letters in here. Let's do it let's change the letters instead of making that B again. A, B, C, call this D, just to change it up a little bit. All right, so Chris, tell me again. Well, they're not line segments. What are they? They have a common endpoint, but they keep on going. So a line segment wouldn't keep on going. It's a ray, okay? It's a ray. So you got 3 rays, that's true. But how many angles do we have? Well, let's number them, all right? So like this angle right there, that's angle 1. I'll just call it angle 1. This angle right here is angle 2. So a lot of you guys said there's 2 angles here, but there's one more angle. What's the one more angle? Get you. Well, let's not just say A and C. A and C doesn't really represent an angle. How would I read off an angle? Like, just describe it to me in words. You don't even use the letters. Just describe it. So I got this little top angle right here. I got this little skinny bottom angle right here. And then, but there's also one more. Which one is it? Just in regular words. You don't have to be all fancy about it. You see the third angle? No? Nobody sees the third angle? What about this whole big angle from here to here? That's an angle as well, isn't it? You see that? All right. So it's like a combination of the other 2, isn't it? All right. So it's like this angle 1, this angle 2, if together make up this big angle right here. Make sense? So everybody see the 3 angles? If I wanted, I could put a 3 next to that little arc, and that indicates it's angle 3. All right. We good? Martin, you walked all the way over there. Just put your head down. You hot? It's a little warm in here. I agree. But they figured out what was wrong with the air conditioner, and they did order the part. They said it should be here by the weekend, so hopefully next week we'll have some air in here. So believe me, I'm in here all day. You're only here one period, so I got to deal with it the whole entire day. All right, let's do this. Let's name angle 1. Give me another name for angle 1. And this kind of stuff's going to be on the quiz. In your notes, maybe put a little note in your notes, okay, that says quiz question, all right? So name another angle that's another name for an angle of angle 1. All right, Katie. DA, is that how we name an angle? What do we use to name an angle?
No, the angle sign.
Okay, angle sign. How many points do we use to show an angle, to describe an angle?
3.
We use 3. Well, you could use 1. I'm glad you said that because we're going to talk about that in just a second. All right. What do you think, Avery? Now, use 3, and if I want to rename angle 1, what's another way I can name angle 1 with the points? Remember, what has to be in the middle, Chris? Say it again. Okay, the vertex has got to be in the middle. So name angle 1. Give me another name for angle 1. AD. Do you want to go C? Angle 1, because angle 1 is just this one right here. Yeah, so it would be A what? D, B. All right, good. Everybody see that? It's A, D, B. That's what angle 1 is. The D has got to be in the middle. So I could call it angle A, D, B. What's another name I could call angle 1? Can I BAD? You sure about that? DBA? Starting here? BDA. Right, why? Why is it BDA? Angle. That's right, because D is the vertex and D's got to be in the middle. Okay? All right, you got to remember stuff we talked about earlier. All right, it all comes into play here. Now, I alluded to this earlier, but can you call it just angle D?
Yeah.
Like angle 1. If I wanted to talk about this angle right here, could I call that just angle D?
No, because there's multiple angles.
That's it. Exactly right. I like how you answered that. Okay, there's multiple angles here. I can't just say angle D, because how do I know which one you're talking about? How do I know that you're not talking about the whole big angle, angle 3? How do I know you're not talking about this one down here, angle 2? Because it's got D as a vertex. Do you see that? So I can't just call it angle D. Well, you're like, Mr. Hammer, well, I could just call this angle B up here. Why could I just call this angle B? Why? There's only one angle coming out of it. That's right. There's only one angle, and that's it. You got no other option, right? It's angle B. But right here, you do have some options. I can't just say angle D. Hope you're watching. You can't just say angle D because angle 1's got D in it, angle 2's got D in it, and this big old angle 3 right there has got D in it as well. So how do I know which one you're talking about? You've got to be more specific. So angle 1 would be ADB or BDA. All right. What if I asked you to rename angle 2? So I'll say this, angle 1. I'll just put a little arrow right there. Arrow 1 could be named, or not arrow 1, angle 1 could be named these two. Right? What about angle 2? What's another name for that? What'd you say it was? BDC. Very good. BDC. So angle, put the angle symbol, BDC. What's another thing I could call angle BDC? Don't start with D. You can't start with D. Remember where D's got to be. Yes, CDB. It's got to be in the middle. The D's got to be in the middle. So angle CDB. Remember, the vertex always has to be in the middle. You can never start with a vertex. Did you hear that? You never start with a vertex. Start with the 2 on the ends. The vertex has always got to be in the middle. So it's BDC. I will. So what about that whole entire big angle? The giant angle 3.
Can we use 4 points?
No, not 4. Only 3. Okay, you can't use 2. Sometimes you can use 1 if there's only one angle. Okay, but if you have a situation like this, you can't just use 1. You use 3. No less, no more. Okay, don't use 4. Plus, you don't even know 4 points on here anyway, so you couldn't even use 4 if you wanted to.
Well, like,
yeah, because that wouldn't be the same angle. It's either 3 for this, or 3 for the whole thing. All right. What about angle 3? All right. Sure. Yeah. So angle 3. How would we name angle 3? Angle what? ADC. Very good. ADC. Or I could flip it around. Feb, what would that be? CDA. Do you have another question? No. And some people would say, well, if I just say angle D, that means the whole thing. But not really, because you could be confused between angle 1, angle 2, or angle 3. So we got to be specific. So if there's more than one angle coming out of that vertex, you got to use 3 points. Okay? Or sometimes, though, they'll put a number here, right? And you can use the number if you wanted to. But the question, and you're going to have this question on the quiz, I'm going to give you something similar to this. It's not exactly like this, but it's similar to this. And I'm going to say, give me another name for angle 1. Okay? And then that's what you would do. You'd give me either ADB or BDA. Give me another name for angle 2. Give me another name for angle 3. That's the kind of stuff that you'll see in the quiz. Here's something else on the quiz. This angle right here, probably should have done it right here. The rays themselves, remember we said we got ray BA and ray BC? These rays are called the sides of the angle. These rays right here are called the sides of the angle. And that's going to be on the quiz as well, I believe. Let me see. Actually, yeah, I didn't put that on there. I think I put it on the honors quiz, but I don't think I put that on yours. But anyway, it's important to know that these are called the sides of the angle. All right? So ray BA is a side. Ray BC is a side of the angle. All right. So what are the two sides of angle 1? Look at angle 1. What are the two sides of angle 1? What are the rays that make up angle 1? Now, you can't say A and C. It's a ray. So how do we say a ray? We don't say and. We don't say a letter and another letter. What do we say? AB?
AC.
From A to B? Do you see any line that goes from A to B?
Yeah, DA.
Excuse me, she just guessed.
Which one?
I need to say
Are you sticking with it?
Yeah.
Good idea. Okay, ray, let's say ray though. Ray DA. So what are the sides? Martin, if you're going to sit there, you need to hush. You're a lot quieter back here. So I might move you back here. No. Just nod your head. Okay. So if I ask you for the sides of angle 1, and it doesn't look like I put that on the quiz. Let me just look one more time just so I don't lie to you. Yep. Okay. So if I ask you, though, on a homework problem or whatever, and I think they might on the homework, ask you for what are the sides of angle 1, then you would say ray DA, and what's the other one? Ray DB. Ray DB. Okay. What are the sides of angle 2? Ray DB and ray DC. Okay. What are the sides of angle 3, the whole big angle? What are the sides of the big angle? Ray. You always start at the vertex. Always start at D. So DA. No, DB is not. That's not the end of the angle, right? That doesn't. This ray right here. If I take that ray away, you still got angle 3, don't you? So this ray right here has got nothing to do with angle 3. So it's ray DA and ray what? DC. Those are the two rays that make up angle 3. We getting it? Okay, we'll see. Let me just take a look. Let me do one more thing, and then we'll be finished. Let's put this in a different color. What if I put a point right there? See that dot? That's a point. Just call it point P. Sometimes throughout the year, we'll be talking about the interior of an angle, the exterior of an angle. Interior means inside, exterior means what? Outside, okay? So point P. Point P would be in the interior of angle 1. Do you see that? Because angle 1 comes out like this, like this. Point P is in the inside of angle 1. So we would say that's an interior angle. You got it? But what if I ask you this? Is point P an interior angle to angle 2? No, it's not. Because 2 comes here and here. Point P is outside of angle 2. So point P would be an exterior angle to angle 2, but it would be an interior angle to angle 1. Everybody see that? Okay. Give me an exterior point to angle 1. In that picture right there. Give me an exterior angle to angle 1. I'm sorry, an exterior point. Sorry, I said angle. An exterior point to angle 1. All right. Point C. Point C. Because here's angle 1. All the stuff inside here would be interior. Anything out here would be exterior. So point C would be outside of angle 1. What about point B? Would point B be exterior? No, because point B is where? Well, of angle 1. Here's angle 1. Point B would be where? Is it inside? Is it outside? It's neither one, so it's got to be what? Right on it. It's on it. So point B would be on the angle. Okay? Point A would be on angle 1. You with me? Now, we said point B, or point P, was the exterior of angle 2, but what about angle 3? Angle 3 is the whole thing. What would be the point P to angle 3? Is it inside angle 3 or is it outside angle 3? Is it? Inside. Angle 3 is this whole thing. It's the whole thing from A to D to C. P is on the inside of that big old angle right there. So it's an interior angle. I keep saying angle. It's an interior point. We will talk about interior angles later on. Maybe that's why I keep saying that. All right. Give me an exterior point to angle 3. What point is exterior to angle 3? There's nothing. That's right. There's nothing. All right. I don't have any points outside of the angle. Now, if I did this, we'll call it R. Now you could say point R is on the exterior. Point R is actually on the exterior of angle 1. It's on the exterior of angle 2. And it's also on the exterior of angle 3. Okay? So these are things. These are things that actually I think I do ask you about interior and exterior. Let me see. Yep, I do. On the quiz, I do ask you about interior and exterior. Okay? So I'll give you a picture similar to this. It's not exactly the same as this. It's very close to it, though. And then I'll give you some points, and I'll say, is this point on the interior? Actually, I think what I do is I say, name a point that's on the interior of angle 1. So if I ask you, name a point. Here's a quiz question. Name a point on the interior of angle 1. What would you tell me? It's point P. Point P. A is not interior. It's actually on it. B is not interior. It's actually on angle 1. P is in the interior. Okay? You with me? On it. They're on it. Okay? If they're actually sitting on the ray, they're not inside it. They're not outside it. They're on it. Okay? They're actually on the angle. Make sense? All right. Let's see what else. Covered that. We've covered that. Oh, there's a couple things that I asked you to draw. All right, you had a couple problems, didn't you? Where you had to draw some things. What were one of those problems? Like draw a plane. So if I asked you to draw a plane, let's say draw, I'm just making this up off the top of my head. Draw a sketch that shows that point P is in plane L. Okay, point P is in plane L. How would you draw that? Hope you guys with your head down are following along, because I'm basically giving you quiz questions. So what's a plane look like when we draw it? Kind of like a slanted square, right? It's a little bit slanted. So that's how we draw a plane. So I said plane L. So where would I put the L? On the line itself? Yeah, but right here in the middle? It could be in any corner. Okay, it could be in the bottom left. All right, but it also could be in the top left. It could be on the top right, or it could be on the bottom right. All right, that's an L, by the way. That little cursive L. All right, so if I said plane L, you would put it in one of the corners, and it's got to be a lowercase letter. Now, what if I said point P is in plane L? What would you do? Put a P inside, or put a point inside of there and just call it P. And there you go. So if I told you, listen, if I told you to, what's the actual thing? Draw a picture illustrating each object, okay? So if I told you to draw a picture illustrating point P in plane L, that's what you would do. All right, pretty simple, right? What if I asked you to draw, or to, again, what was it? Draw a picture illustrating this. What if I said line CD? You do that in your notes right now. Are you going to be laughing after you take the quiz?
What do you want to do?
Both of you guys? I don't know. You just like smiling, acting like you're having a good old time, and that's great. I'm glad you are having a good time, but I sure hope you're paying attention to this, because I'm basically giving you quiz questions right now. Okay. Is it what? I don't. Yes, this is recorded.
What do you want to do?
I want you to draw a picture that illustrates this. So draw line CD. So draw a picture showing line CD. Did you do it? So it's a line, right? Because it's got arrows on the end. So you draw a line, put arrows on the end.
Please pardon the interruption. Will the following students please come to the office? Jaden Alexander, Michelle Arkhurst, Jackson Blevins, Trent Brown, Jordan Castillo, Joelle Kennedy, Mia Police, Micah Sobe,
Have you drawn it yet?
Taylor Tate,
So what did you put?
Jean, Trinity
C
Thomas,
right here
and Amelia Wonder. Please come to the
and
office.
a D right there. Okay. Now, if you wanted, the C could be over here and the D could be here. It doesn't matter. The order of a line doesn't matter at all. All right. But that would be an example of line CD. So I give you this, and you have to draw that. You tell me. I've only said it like 15 times today. So I'll let you figure that out. All right. Let's see what else we got. Okay. I told you from day 2, not day 1. From day 2, I told you the first question on the quiz. Does anybody remember? And I've mentioned it a couple times since. Day 2, I even said, write it in your notes that this is going to be on the quiz. It's like one of the very first things, probably the very first thing that we talked about in here. And I'll tell you what it is, but I just want to see if anybody remembers. What is it? Undefined terms. Very good. Okay. So, name the 3 undefined terms. Somebody name them for me. Good. Point, line, and plane. That's right. That's number 1 on the quiz. I said the second day of school that would be the first question on the quiz, and now tomorrow you're ready to take the quiz. All right, and that's going to be the first question on the quiz. I'll tell you right now, and I just gave you the answer. There's no excuse not to know it. All right, it's the 3 undefined terms are point, line, and plane. And then you got to know 2 words. Know these 2 words. Know what collinear means. I'm not going to. No, there's no multiple choice. I never give multiple choice. Know the word collinear, what it means. I'm not asking you to write down the definition. Okay, I'm going to ask you a question, but the word collinear is in the question. Okay, so I never ask you to write definitions. I never say write the definition of this word. I never do that. Okay, but you need to know what the words mean and how to use them. I think that's way more important than just memorizing definitions. You also need to know what concurrent lines, so collinear points, I should put, okay, and concurrent lines. You need to know what those words mean, okay? What does it mean to have collinear points? Go ahead, K-Ring. They lie on the same line, so boom, 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 L, M, N. Those are collinear points right there, okay? Everybody with me? What if I put a point out here, Q? Are all 4 of those collinear? Which ones are collinear? Just the L, the M, the N. Okay, and you just list them. The collinear points would be L, it'd be M, and it would be N. All right. What's concurrent lines mean? What does that mean?
Concurrent lines are lines that intersect.
That's it. Just lines that intersect. Okay. So if I had 2 lines, can somebody get the door? Dylan, wake up. Hey, Dylan, tapping. He's out. Out for the count.
Who put him to sleep?
So concurrent lines are points that, or 2 lines that intersect each other. All right. So again, I'm going to give you a situation that we've seen before on the homework. Okay. I'm not going to give you the whole picture, but lines that intersect each other are called concurrent lines. So let's do another one, like through here, like this. All right. All 3 of those would be concurrent lines, wouldn't they? Everybody see that? Because they all intersect each other.
Please pardon the interruption. Will the following 7th grade students please come to the office?
So I've pretty much given you the whole entire quiz. All right? Not the exact problems, but problems that are very, very close to what's going to be on the quiz. So review this video tonight if you need to, or just review your notes. Okay? Hopefully you took notes on what I said was going to be on the quiz. Go through them, and there you go. Now, you have a homework assignment tonight. Let me get that out. See what it is. All right, don't leave yet. Just hang on. So it's section 1-4. It's pages 21 and 22. And it's 1 to 12. And it's 30 to 42.
That's on the paper you give us?
It is on the paper, yeah. Now, I wrote the word omit. What does it mean to omit? Anybody know what it means to omit? It means to leave out. It means don't do it. So numbers 2 and 38, you don't have to do. But do everything else. That's your homework. It's due tomorrow. We'll go over it. Okay, and then we'll take the quiz tomorrow. Okay, you can go.